Hey everyone, and welcome to my collectibles channel. I want to do this intro video to give everyone a basic idea of what to expect from the channel in terms of content and some of my own terms I'll be using. So one of the reasons I wanted to even start this channel to begin in the first place is I collect a lot of things and a wide variety of things, mostly figures, and I thought it would be fun to share it with all of you guys on the internet because I know there's a big thriving figure collecting community. Also, I thought it might be helpful if someone's thinking about buying one of the things I'm planning to show off. A video that I make could help them decide if they want it or not. Like maybe they see a certain quality that they couldn't just see in the promotional pictures and they decide, oh, I really like that figure, I'm going to buy it. Or maybe they see how like the paint job consistency and they say, oh, I'd rather not go with that. So quick overview of the channel, or at least at this point in time, what I'm hoping the channel will be. So we're going to look at figures. That's going to be a big bulk of the channel content, and then other collectibles. I know other collectibles is a pretty wide category, but I want to keep it open just in case I find something unique. One of the things that with both of these categories that I really want to try and focus on is not just something that you can walk into like your average store and find. So I really want to focus on things that are kind of more unique, or you have to go to maybe a specialty store or a specialty online site. And sometimes those sites don't have the best reviews of the product in terms of videos or close-up pictures, so you can't really get a good idea of the paint job or maybe the sculpt. And so that's one of the big focuses here. So for types of videos on this channel, there's going to be three main types. The first will be a first look and unboxing. These are generally going to be kind of like this video format where I'm going to be unboxing a product and showing you guys, and it's usually just going to be me talking to the camera, kind of more of a laid-back video. The next one will be a closer look and review. This will be more post-production work. It's going to be closer shots of the figure. I'm going to be using a turntable to display it. Not this turntable, I need to get a new one, but to give you guys a really good look at whatever the product is. And for the review portion, I really want to focus on a product being of the same quality that it's priced at. So I know that's kind of a weird thing because most people just think of a review as, oh, it's worth it or it's not worth it, or this is a good product or it's not a good product. Well, when you get into things like figures, it's an art that you're viewing. So it's not as simple as just saying like, oh, this one's not worth it and this one's worth it. What I really want to focus on is looking at the price range of different figures and saying, oh, the quality of this figure matches the price range that it's in. I have more than a few examples in my collection of something that doesn't meet the tier that it's in or the monetary value, but I still love that figure and I would still give it a great review, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I don't like to think of it as, oh, yes or no, good or bad, but more, is it of equal value to what it's priced at? And so I mentioned it a little bit, but these figures will be basically set up into tiers. That will help us decide kind of what level of quality we should be expecting to see from a given figure. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then the last video type that will be on this channel will be kind of random assorted collectible highlights. So this can be anywhere from, clear files to, keychains or anything like that. It's going to be stuff that I'll try and find something interesting. It's not just going to be something random that I found, at the shop down the street. So if it's like a clear file, I'll want it to be something that has a unique design and not just, a big character on the side of it. So to come back to is a figure worth its given price point? One of the reasons I'm focusing on that pretty heavily is I've seen it quite a lot where a figure will get kind of roasted because it doesn't look very good, or this one's really expensive or something like that. And one of the main reasons is I believe I saw it was a Final Fantasy blind box set that was getting just kind of raked over the coals in this review because some of the details on the faces weren't super good from what the article had said. And you know, I agree with them to a certain respect, is that yes, it wasn't of the highest quality, but when I saw that, my first question, after seeing what they said and then looking at the figures, my first question was, okay, how big are they, and how much are they? Because if you're not charging very much, it's a small figure, it would be pretty difficult to get a really high level of quality on a tiny figure and then not charge very much. So that's one thing I really want to bring to the channel, is let people know that, well, yes, maybe the paint job is lacking in this area or in this aspect, but you know, you should also expect to not pay very much for this too. And then last thing I want to talk about, because these are collectibles and because a lot of them do retain their value even after the initial official release from whatever the company that makes it is. I'm not going to be talking about aftermarket prices, just because they change so frequently, and also because the aftermarket price shouldn't weigh into the review, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, it should weigh into if you're going to buy it for an aftermarket price, but that becomes more of a how much do you enjoy it, and not exactly does the figure match the aftermarket price. I have a perfect example for this, and it'll be for a much later video, but there's a figure that I paid way more. I think it was about 4 times its retail price, but it was really rare and I really wanted it. So to go back to the first look videos, entry-level figures, or budget figures, and most entry-level figures will only be getting a first look and unboxing video. Now, there's always going to be exceptions to this, where you know there's a figure in that price range that just is basically demanding to have a more in-depth video of it. But the things that come to mind right away, the next videos I kind of plan to do, the figures are kind of, and not in a bad way, but they're simple. So like maybe a blind box of some 8-bit figures. I'm not going to do a super in-depth video because like they're literally not very detailed, kind of on purpose. And a more in-depth video, I don't think it would really be necessarily helping anyone. I might change the format of those first look and unboxing videos when that's going to be the whole thing for that figure. So I might do some closer shots of it, but just so you guys know what to expect. If there's like a particular figure that you're looking for me to review, you know, just know what to expect there. So I might not be doing a whole separate video for it. So that does mean that if a figure is in the standard and above range, then it'll be getting 2 videos. So there'll be a first look and unboxing, and then a closer look video where I actually will delve down into how much it costs, the kind of where it's available if people are looking to get it, do some closer shots of it, and then my overall takeaway and maybe things that I noticed when setting it up, like if it's notoriously hard to set up, or maybe it even got broken because it was so difficult to set up. I have, I think, 2 or 3 figures like that were so difficult to set up that they actually broke. So you heard me mention it briefly previously, but let's talk a little bit more about tiers of figures. And this is like this channel tiers of figures. So this isn't like any type of standard, you know, thing that people talk about. This is just something I came up with to help us kind of define what to expect from certain figures. The first tier is budget, and that's $1 to $20. And also, by the way, I don't use the term budget despairingly. I think when certain figures are produced, obviously they have a target price in mind that they're going to be selling it for. And so having something being on the lower price end obviously would be a goal of whoever's making that product. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being a cheaper figure. It's just that, you know, we know what to expect from it. The next level above that is entry level. That's $20 to $49. As an example, I have this Miku noodle topper, which falls squarely in that range. Another thing that is very common, especially these days, is prize figures. You'll see these a lot in like, not really in the US, but in crane game machines in Japan. And sometimes you can buy them on the side, but they also fall basically perfectly in this entry-level category. The next above that is standard. These are kind of most of the figures that you're going to see are going to fall in this range. It is kind of neat though, these days figures are getting more and more complicated. But as an example of a standard figure, we have the Silver Crow Figma on the right. Above standard is specialty. That's $100 to $199. These figures are going to get more and more complicated. Typically in this range, it's also more common to see custom bases, just because a base is not really necessary for the figure itself. So below this price point, it's not as common to see them. They definitely exist, especially depending on who's making it. Some companies are much more likely to produce them than others. And then above that, we have the mega tier, and that's $200 plus. I know that's a large range, but once you get beyond $200, really you're talking a couple of different types of figures. You're talking the more specialty figures. They tend to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more complicated, and more tiny details. And then you get the bigger like resin figures or statues, and then, you know, just kind of the ridiculous ones. Like I think there was a Devilman Crybaby one that was really, really expensive, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And then you also have things like the one-to-one figures that are like $10,000. So that's why I'm not slicing it up too much, because once you get beyond the 200 price point, they stop kind of looking too much different. And another thing that really plays a factor in those figures as well is sometimes you have low production runs, and having a low production run obviously makes it more collectible and also makes it more expensive, because if you're not making, you know, 10,000 of them and you're only making 50 of them, typically there's a lot more by hand stuff that goes into it, and so that kind of messes up with the with all the other tiers. That might be something that we look at in the future, you know, something of a mega tier, like way beyond a mega tier, but it depends on how big the channel grows and if I get that much money to even buy one of those. So there's definitely going to be more things to talk about in the future, more different stuff that we'll be trying on the channel, but this is just kind of basic stuff to start us out, you know, get a foothold, give you guys a feeling of me, and for me to get a feeling of, you know, making YouTube videos and editing them and whatnot. If you like figures and you want to see more of my collection, because trust me, there is a lot more to show, be sure to like and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and have a wonderful day.